Hello, my name is Myra. Welcome back to another video. So today is December 1st, and because I will be doing Bookmas, I figured I would start with some holiday book recommendations and also share a little bit of the books that are on my TBR. Now, December is super busy, obviously because of the holidays and doing Christmas shopping for friends and family or for yourself, which I will totally always be an advocate for that. You might only have time to put, one or two books on your TBR or get through one or two books, which is totally fine. And so I figured that I would start first with the books that I would recommend and kind of sort them into categories depending on what you might be looking for. So let's go ahead and just jump into my recommendations first. So I'm gonna start off with Friends to Lovers. If you're looking for a Friends to Lovers, I can recommend an oldie but a goodie, and that is Love Light Farms by B.K. Borison. This book stars Stella and Luca, and I do have them written down here because I will forget their names. But Stella essentially owns this Christmas tree farm, and unfortunately it's going through some financial troubles. And so she ends up basically submitting her farm into this competition that this influencer is running with the cash prize of $100,000. Those $100,000 would make a big difference to her farm. However, there is a catch. The terms of this cash prize is to basically have it like some sort of like love or like romantic story behind the business that wants to get this money. And she isn't dating anybody, but she ends up saying that she is dating or running this farm with the person that she is dating, which is Luca. But Luca is actually only her best friend. This influencer who is running this competition is going to stop by and make a visit, interview them, kind of see their operations, and then eventually choose the winner. So they have to fake date. But obviously, as the story goes on, Stella and Luca might find out that there might be feelings that they have for each other and that maybe these feelings are reciprocated, and that is what Love Light Farms is about. Next, I have Wreck My Plans. This is also a Friends to Lovers kind of, except that this is Lena and Gavin, and Lena has always had a crush on Gavin, who happens to be her brother's best friend. And he doesn't really have much of a family. He's always been around because of her brother, but through the years she's had a crush on him. But something happened 3 years ago where he basically hasn't talked to her. He hasn't really been around for Christmas, and she's kind of harbored a little bit of resentment for him. And when it comes time to come back home for the holidays, she is surprised to see that Gavin has joined, and now he's going to take part in all of the holiday traditions that her and her family have. But she finds that there's still some feelings there. And unbeknownst to her, there might be reasons why Gavin has stayed away and kept his distance from Lena. She's artistic, she's very into the holiday, and he is the type of person that's always wearing all black, is very serious. So they're totally opposites attract, but this is still very much Friends to Lovers just because they already know each other and they're just kind of reconnecting. This next category I labeled Good Time, Not a Long Time. So this is the types of books that I would recommend if you maybe have, 2 hours in your day or 2 hours total of free time to go through a holiday book. And I feel like these are still a holiday, but not super holiday, and they are very relatable. So first I'm going to start with Krampus Kruk by Serena Peer, and this is Morgan and Peter's story. I hope I'm saying his name right. He's Polish, but this is an age gap romance. You have Morgan, who very relatable around the holidays. You're spending a lot of time with family, and sometimes there's conflicting opinions. There are comments that you don't want to listen to, and you kind of just need a little bit of a break and a little bit of space from your family. And that is where this book starts off. So Morgan decides to go have a drink at a local bar, and that is where she ends up meeting Peter. Now, this is one of the biggest age gaps that I have ever read. She is 29 and he is 64. So she's definitely an adult, but again, huge age gap. But he's not like a 64 like what you would maybe picture. He's described as tatted, super fit, not insanely ripped, but still enough that you can see like kind of like a six-pack situation. So He's not what you would kind of think, I guess, when you think of 64. He's very fit and in shape and stuff, but there is still, I mean, again, he's 64 years old. But it's just a one night thing. They basically have this banter from the beginning. Through the story, it's never really said, but there are reasons why he has to be a little bit careful of the people that he brings around him. But again, this is supposed to be just a one night, let's have fun. I came to a bar to have a drink because I need a break from my family, ran into a hot stranger. Let's have consensual fun and then each go our separate ways. And that is where this book will take you. My other book that I have in Here for a Good Time, Not a Long Time is Tangled in Tinsel by Christina Pucci. Or sorry, not Christina, Trilina Pucci. This book, it's almost always mentioned around the holiday season, and it's just because it is a snowed in romance, except it's a why choose. There are 4 men and 1 woman in this book, and she's showing them this like real estate place. I think it's like a cabin or something, and they end up getting snowed in. And there's all this attraction, like she's attracted to all 4 men, but she also thinks like 2 of them have a relationship with each other, but she doesn't really know the dynamics. And because they get snowed in, they decide, hey, let's have a good time and pass the time, and it pretty much just goes from there. So again, these are 2 very different novellas, but still you get the holiday vibes. It's quick reads, and it's perfect if you don't have a lot of reading time for the coming month. My next category is fake dating. I love a good fake dating story during the holidays because, again, during the holidays when you're bringing, you know, people around your family, or when you're not bringing a person around your family, you might have people saying, where's your boyfriend? Where's your girlfriend? Where's, you know, whatever, what's going on with your life? And so in these fake dating stories, this is exactly the situation that you have at hand. So one of them is If You Give a Grump a Holiday Wish List by Anne Emerson. And this is a boss employee. You have Presley, who works for Jack, and she just wants time off. She wants to be able to go home, except Jack, her boss, is like, well, I can't have you go home. Like, I need you to be with me. And she's like, no, I am going home for the holidays. And he's like, okay, I'll come with you. And she can't just tell her family, oh yeah, I'm bringing my boss, because she's talked really badly about her boss. And so she tells him, hey, then we're gonna have to pretend that I'm just bringing my boyfriend home, and you're gonna have to pretend to be my boyfriend. And so of course the mom is like, oh cool, you're bringing your boyfriend, you guys can stay in the same room. And they have to basically go through all of the holiday activities together. And again, this is her boss. This is the last person that she wants to be spending the holidays with, except for reasons that are mentioned in the book. They end up spending the holidays together. And Jack especially gets to see this different side of Presley that he hadn't seen before. And in Season Schemings by Katie Bailey, this is a marriage of convenience. So it's a little bit further from fake dating, but you have our heroine who was actually dumped on TV. So she is completely mortified. She's had a really, really hard time. And one night in Vegas, she is pretty drunk, and she ends up telling this hockey player this story of how she got dumped on TV, and now she has to go home, and her parents liked her ex-boyfriend, and they're actually all gonna spend the holidays together, and she's gonna show up and basically be alone while her ex-boyfriend is with his new partner. And he says, well, why don't we just get married? Because it turns out that he needs a wife in order to continue playing professional hockey. And so they kind of end up agreeing to do it. And now she's gonna bring this husband that nobody knew about to the holidays, where her ex-boyfriend's also gonna be. So it's just drama, drama, drama. But if that sounds like a good time, especially again during the holidays, definitely check that one out. And also I will mention, this is one of the only, like, I've only read a handful of books that are closed door romance, and this was done exceptionally well. When it finally, it's very much slow burn, but when it finally gets to that point, because of how good the tension is between the characters, you're like, oh my God, and then it's closed door. So that was a little bit like, you know, but that's how you know that it's written really good. Not that you always need smut, not that you always need that, you know, that to be on there, but their connection was so good already, like on like a mental and emotional level, that you kind of want to see the physical, but you won't. So just know that. I'm just letting you know, because if you don't like that at all, just know that this is a closed door romance. But if you like a closed door romance, this is the perfect book for you. And still, the romance itself and everything was amazing. So definitely recommend. And the last one that I have is also fake dating. This one, I'm gonna be honest, was not my favorite, but I do know a lot of people really, really like it. And this is "'Tis the Season for Revenge" by Morgan Elizabeth. And this one you have Damien and Abby. Abby is dating this complete douchebag, like douchebag with a capital D, who is basically really trying to control her, diminish her. Like he thinks that she's a little bit too much. So he's kind of trying to mold her in the way that she wants, or that he wants. And he ends up breaking up with her. And she's completely blindsided, doesn't understand. And he kind of tells her like she's not really marriage material, or like she's not serious girlfriend material. She's completely devastated, but decides that she's going to get revenge and show up to his holiday Christmas party, because that is actually something where he has never taken her, because he's pretty much insinuated that he's ashamed of her. And she ends up dating his boss. Yep. And that is why it's called "'Tis the Season for Revenge." So again, if that sounds like something that you want to check out, definitely pick those up. As far as my holiday TBR, I of course have my regular TBR. There are books that I want to read before the end of the year. There are books that I am in the middle of, but these are like the 6 romance books that are kind of on my radar. One of them I will definitely be reading, and that is "He Sees You When You're Sleeping" by Alta Hensley. This one is my book club pick for the month, so I will 100% be reading it. But this is a stalker romance. So if you are looking for stalker romances, this is one of 2 that I have on my holiday TBR. The other one is "He Sees You" by Corinne Hart. This one, again, I don't really know much about it. My friend actually sent this one to me because it was free on Kindle, but I know that this is also a stalker romance. So I think I'll definitely be reading "He Sees You" first, just because that's my book club pick. And then I'll probably read a few other ones before I jump into "He Sees You," but they are both stalker romance. And I think "He Sees You" is definitely a novella. "He Sees You When You're Sleeping," I think that one is like about 300 pages. So it is, I think, a little bit longer than "He Sees You." Then I have the holiday hookup list by Alexis Daria. This is just supposed to be a, you know what, we're gonna just have fun type of romance. You have our heroine who was dumped by her fiance. He cheated on her, so she broke up with him. And she goes to a bar to have a good time, and her friend ends up twisting her ankle, and she tells her, "Listen, you never go out, just stay here. I'm gonna leave, just you stay here at the bar and have fun." And she ends up running into her arch nemesis, and they kind of have this connection, and they are just kind of feeling very attracted to each other, and I'm assuming one thing's gonna lead to another. But that is the holiday hookup list. Very Little Mishap by Vivian May. This one just sounds really good. It's supposed to be her like neighbor who he's kind of caught her in like a lot of embarrassing moments, and I feel like I can definitely relate when it's just one person that kind of sees you being a hot mess all the time, and that is this very hot neighbor. And I believe that they get stuck in an elevator, and I don't know what happens from there, but it just sounds interesting and really good. And I think it's supposed to be like a romantic comedy, so I feel like that's perfect for the holidays. Next I have Amor Actually. This is actually an anthology by a lot of different authors, a lot of different Latina authors. So I wanted to read this last year, I didn't get to, and I think that this one is like basically Christmas or Christmas Eve through different families. Like it's all the same day, but it's different families. So I definitely want to read this and get through it and get all of the like Christmas kind of spirit, but I don't really know what they're all about, since I think that they're all different stories. And then last on my list, I have this one, which everybody and their mom has been talking about this book, and that is Good Spirits by B.K. Borison. Everything that I've read by B.K. Borison, I've loved. All I know about this one is that I think he's like the ghost of Christmas past or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but she ends up running into him, or I think she moves into this house and he's like this ghost. I think he's like 200 years old or something like that. I don't know if that's who she ends up with, or if, I don't know. I don't really know what the dynamic is, but I do know a lot of people that have read it absolutely loved it and said it was perfect for the holidays. So that's another book that is very, very high on my TBR. So anyway, these are the recommendations and also the books that are on my TBR. Let me know if you've read any of these books. Let me know if you recommend any other books in case I miraculously go through all of the ones on my TBR. But thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.